All right, welcome back. I hope your guys' electromagnet lab went well and that you finished collecting data. I'm going to obviously have you guys listen to the instructions for this next part, but know that when these instructions are done, you guys can finish up your electromagnet lab. Okay, mainly the data collection part. Okay, I'm not worried too much about the questions. You guys can go home and finish the questions. You still need to do them, but what I need you to get done in class today is collecting data for your electromagnets for parts 1, 2, and 4, and then getting this design day done that I'm going to talk about here. Okay, so today is day 1 of our electromagnetic fishing derby. Okay, your learning targets are I can change variables on an electromagnet to increase the magnetic field surrounding the electromagnet. So your goal overall for this whole assignment, it'll be 3 days, is to build an effective electromagnetic fishing pole. Okay, so just as a reminder, your electromagnetic fishing pole looks something like this, where I have a battery, I have wire, I have a little switch, which we'll talk about here in a second, and then here's my nail with its coils. Okay, you have 3 days to work on this. Okay, today is day 1. So for day 1, your goal is to design an effective electromagnetic fishing pole using a D-cell battery, a piece of magnetic wire, and a nail. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about all the materials that you will need and what will be provided to you here in a second. Day 2, which for you guys is next Thursday, is to build and test your fishing pole. Okay, so that means that whatever materials you need to bring, you need to have by Thursday of next week. Because Thursday is the only day you have to build and make sure your electromagnetic fishing pole works. Okay, next Friday, you guys will be competing to see how many fish you guys can catch. So when I say fish, I have these little paper fish with a paper clip in the back. Okay, so you guys obviously be using your electromagnet to attract to that paper clip. Okay, so that's going to be next Friday. So again, 1 day to design, 1 day to build, 1 day to compete and answer your questions. Okay, so let's talk about day 1's material. So this is what you guys need to accomplish today. So you guys again will be building a fishing pole, and I'll leave my fishing pole on the front table. You may not touch it, but you may look at it. Okay, so I'll leave that for you guys to check out. But what it consists of is 1 iron nail. So this is stuff I'm going to give you guys if you choose to use it. This is the same size of nail that you guys used on the electromagnet lab yesterday and today. Okay, so one of those. If you do not like that nail and you want to use something different, you are welcome to bring your own, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, 1 D-cell battery, which is again the same battery you guys used on your electromagnet lab. Again, if you don't like that, you guys are welcome to bring materials of your own. Maybe you like the D-cell battery, but you want to use 2 D-cell batteries instead. You need to bring a second. Okay, so whatever you guys want to change of the materials that are provided for you, you guys need to bring by next Thursday. Okay, you will be given a 100-centimeter piece of magnetic wire and a 10-centimeter piece of magnetic wire. This is something that I wouldn't suggest you guys change. Okay, this wire is built specifically for electromagnets, so I would keep that one just the same. So let me explain this to you. The 100-centimeter piece of magnetic wire connects to the end of the battery. It goes down to the nail. It doesn't necessarily have to trace the length of the pole. It can just go directly down to the nail. It wraps around the nail, and then it comes back up and connects to a switch. And your guys' switch might look different. I'll talk to you about that here in a second. So it connects to one side of your switch, and then your 10-centimeter piece of wire connects the other side of your switch to the other end of your battery. So now we have a complete circuit. We can trace a big circle with our finger. Okay. All right, so those are your 2 pieces of wire, and again, that's one thing that I wouldn't suggest you guys bring your own of. It just won't be the same. This installation's perfect for this, but other wire that you guys see that you may use in your house is not the same, and it won't work as well. Okay, 2 metal thumbtacks and a large paper clip. So if you want to use a switch like mine, which is a regular household switch, you're more than welcome to get one. You can get them pretty easy at Walmart or Lowe's. They're like less than $1. Okay. But if you don't want to do that or you forget to do that, you guys may use my homemade switch, which consists of 2 metal thumbtacks and a large paper clip. So I'll show you what that looks like right here. Okay, so you guys can see this, hopefully fairly large on the screen. You guys have 2 metal thumbtacks and then this paper clip, and this makes a makeshift switch that actually works just as well. So what you guys will see is one end of your wire, so one of your pieces of wire, wraps around this paper clip and the little pokey part of your thumbtack, and then we hammer that into your guys' pole. So when you guys are thinking about what material you want for your pole, keep that in mind as well, especially if you plan to use this switch. Okay, then the other side, the other piece of your wire goes around this little pokey part of the thumbtack and nails in, and then that way when you guys touch this paper clip down to the thumbtack, you close your circuit and electricity will be flowing. When you let it go up where it's not touching, then your circuit is open and there is no electricity flowing. Your electromagnet will not work. So this is kind of an upward view of that, so you guys can see the two wires. Just like we did in the electromagnet lab, you guys will need to scrape that red paint off the wires. But you guys can see how that makes a switch, and that's honestly probably just as effective. Miss Grappo does a really good job making these, so where they're the most effective. I've always kind of just let kids figure it out for themselves, and it hasn't always been effective. So that's up to you guys if you want to do something different for your switch, or if you guys want to use the thumbtacks and the paper clip. Okay, and then finally, I have plenty of electrical tape, so that's something you guys don't need to supply. You really don't want to use any other type of tape. Some things that you guys will need to get. So the one thing that you for sure need to bring is some sort of material to make your pole. I used a dowel on mine, but by no means do you guys have to run out and purchase a dowel and cut it up, okay? I've seen kids use folded pieces of paper. As long as you guys can get a switch to work with that, that's fine. Okay, I've seen kids use cardboard, tree branches, pieces of 2x4, pencils taped together, you name it. I've seen kids be creative and use it. I will not supply you any materials to make your pole. So if you ask me, hey, can I have a piece of dowel? I'll say no. Can I have a ruler? No. Okay, you guys need to supply one thing for your pole, and it doesn't have to be something crazy. Okay, you can get creative with it, and it can be something pretty easy to get. Okay, the only parameter I have with that is your guys' pole should be a little bit longer than 25 centimeters. Okay, I'll talk about your guys' parameters in a second, but make sure you guys are bringing something that's probably a little bit longer than this. This is about a foot, if you will. Okay, and then any other materials that you guys would like to change that I provided for you guys. Maybe you're just not impressed with the battery, or you want to use a different type like a 9-volt or a C-cell or AA. Whatever the case, you're welcome to bring something different there. I would use my wire. If you want to bring a different iron core, like a nail or a bolt or whatever, you're welcome to. A switch, whatever you guys want to make modifications of. The only thing that you are required to bring is something to make your pole. Okay, let's talk about your parameters. So your pole must be 25 centimeters long. I'm not talking about the actual pole itself. I'm talking about from the end of the battery, okay, to where your line drops off the pole. That is what I'm going to consider your pole length, okay? So if you guys use a whole meter stick and the end of your battery and where your line comes off your pole is less than 25, that will not count. It doesn't matter how long your pole is. Okay, so again, I'll say this one more time. Your pole length is from the end of your battery to where your line comes off, okay? If I were to actually measure mine, if I use a meter stick to measure, mine's actually only about 23.5, 24 centimeters long. So this would disqualify me. Okay, so you need to have from the end of the battery to where your line drops off needs to be 25 centimeters. So that means your pole probably should be a little bit longer than that, just to make sure you guys are meeting that requirement. And the day you guys compete, which is next Friday, I will measure those for you guys, okay? So you guys must meet your parameters. Your other parameter is that your line must hang off the pole by at least 15 centimeters. Again, what that means is where it drops off your pole down to the end of your nail. Okay, that has to be at least 15 centimeters right there. Okay, so again, that'll be something else that I take a measurement before you're allowed to compete. Okay, you guys will need some sort of switch that can turn your magnetic field on and off. I've already showed you guys what that could look like for you. And that allows you guys to catch and release fish. So basically what you guys will have when you guys compete is you guys will be competing against another group, and in between you guys you'll have this lunch tray of fish. Okay, that's going to be the pond. That'll be placed directly in between you and the person you're competing with, or the other group you're competing with. You guys will also have this little basket. You'll each have your own little basket in front of you. Okay, your goal is to take your fishing pole, turn it on, dip it in the pond and grab as many fish as you guys can, take it over to your little basket, hold it over, turn it off, and your fish should fall off into that basket. If they fall off onto the table, you guys may use your fishing pole to pick them up, but you may not use your hands. So you can either pick them up and put them in your basket using your fishing pole only, or you guys can just leave those fish here. They just won't count for you, and you can go directly back into the pond. So that's your choice, but you need to be able to catch and release those fish. So catch them in the pond, release them in your basket. Okay, and then finally, you guys will have 1 minute to fish. Okay, so for today, here's what you need to do, okay? Before you leave class today, you need to do this. You are allowed to work with one partner, okay? But you need to actually work with them. They can't be someone that you guys are just gonna sit and watch them do everything, okay? I will not tolerate that for this project. It is too big of a project, okay? If there's someone in class that you guys know is absent, like that is usually here, that they're a B cohort day, you guys can choose to work with them as well. You guys can get them on Teams and ask to work with them. Okay, and then you guys can just call them up while you guys are doing the design and figure out how you want to do your design together. Okay, so just as a recap, take a look at what your materials that are provided for you are and what you guys might need to supply and what your parameters are, so how you guys need to build your pole. Okay, and then what you guys need to do is consider what other things you guys need to bring in. You need to basically make a shopping list. Okay, so what do you guys need to bring? The one thing for sure that you need to bring is your pole, okay? Anything else, you guys might choose what else you want and choose who's gonna bring that, okay? What you guys are gonna do is on a piece of white paper, there is some computer paper up front for you guys. You are gonna draw out your fishing pole design, how you guys plan to build it. Again, I'm leaving my pole on the front table. You may look at, but you may not touch it, okay? So on a piece of paper, draw a design of your pole, including any tentative measurements and label variations such as the number of coils. So you guys want to number the number of coils. Tell me what you're going to use for your core, your battery. Are you going to use 1 battery, 2 battery, whatever, however many amounts of batteries? Are you going to use more than one? Are you going to use a different type, D cell, C cell, whatever the case? How are you going to design your switch? Are you going to make your own switch using the thumbtacks? Are you going to design your own? Are you going to bring a switch? What pole material are you guys planning to use? So basically everything that goes into making this pole, you need to label and tell me about it, okay? Down to the number of times you're wrapping your nail, okay? Then you're going to take a picture in that, and on slide 7, you're going to insert a picture of your design. So right below your picture of your switch, you guys have this right here. You need to copy, or excuse me, take a picture of your picture and you need to paste it right there. That will be 4 points credit for you, okay? So this total is 3 days of work, so 4 points a day. That is what you need to do to get credit for day 1, is get a picture in there, and it has to be labeled if you want credit. Okay, so that's day 1. Some things I wanted to go over with you guys though is, obviously next Thursday is your only day to test and build, so all your supplies need to come by Thursday. Okay, you guys need to be able to test it. With that being said, you guys might test it and find out it doesn't work that great and that you need to tweak things. It is absolutely okay if your guys' design ends up looking different than your picture. In fact, I hope it does. I hope you guys are doing what needs to be done to make it better. Okay, so your actual build will probably end up looking different than your design. For instance, if you guys say like, oh, I'm gonna bring a car battery in, I'm not gonna allow car batteries. Okay, your battery needs to be something that you can mount to your pole, kind of like this guy here, where I was able to tape it to my pole and hold it. Okay, so obviously a car battery, if any of you guys have ever actually held a car battery, is pretty darn heavy. Okay, there's no way that you guys are gonna hold that in one hand and be able to operate your switch with the other hand. Okay, so you guys might design your pole with a car battery and then realize when you come to build it that it's just not gonna be practical for you guys, or maybe it's not gonna work at all. Okay. So keep that in mind, that your guys' actual build might be different in your design, and I hope it is. Really, I hope you guys do things to tweak it and make it better. Okay? If you guys are absent for any of these days, again, if you guys can maybe like work with another partner, that would be great. Or you guys can kind of communicate them. If you are here right now and you're doing your day 1 with whoever you plan to do your stuff with, and then you realize that they're going to be gone for day 2, okay, you guys need to be in contact with each other over Teams. Okay, you guys all have that available to you. Even if you're not friends and you don't have each other's phone numbers, that's not an excuse. You guys can send them a message in Teams. You can call them in Teams and let them know, hey, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I'm supposed to bring A, B, and C. Can you get that? Okay, and then that day you're gone for the build, you can still call in during class and help them build. Okay, so if you want credit for those things, you need to be an active part in that. I need to be able to see communications with your partner if you're gone for that day. Okay, and then so that's day 1. You guys get 4 points for that and being active in that. For day 2, you guys are actually going to build. Okay, so I'm going to go over this just really quick. It's your only day to build, test, and kind of revamp your build to make it the best it can be. And your guys' day 2 credit will be taking a picture of your final design that's workable and putting it on your PowerPoint. Okay, and then finally day 3, you guys will collect data. I want to go over really quick what data collection looks like. So obviously to get credit for your guys' build, you just have to have a fishing pole that works. You guys can catch at least 1 fish with that. But I like to have some fun and have some little in-class competitions where you guys can earn some extra credit or some other rewards. So for instance, you guys notice that you have to have your guys' pole measured before you compete. So there's 2 competitions that we'll compete in. First one's gonna be total number of sea creatures. So in my little pond, you guys will see sharks, you'll see fish, you'll see squid, you'll see all kinds of things. So just in that 1 minute time, how many total did you catch? Okay? And then overall, there's also a points overall. So if you catch a shark, it's negative 10 points. But if you catch a fish, it's positive 5 points. So there'll be a separate competition that's number of points that you guys get. And it might be the same person of the same group that wins both the total sea creatures and the total points. Okay. Finally, you guys will notice that when you're competing against another group, there are 4 little Nemos. Okay, it's kind of hard for you guys to see. The back side of that only has a fragment of a paperclip on it, so they're a little bit harder to catch. Those Nemos, if you catch at least even one of them, if you count a 4, great. In that 1 minute time period, you guys get extra credit for your guys' overall 12-point assignment. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I think I've gone through just about everything for you guys. Let me know on Teams if it's something that you need answered for finishing today's assignment, okay? I will be back in class on Monday, or excuse me, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever, next week. Okay, so remember to have your design done and a picture of it put on slide 7. Okay, make sure you label everything on that picture for today. Figure out what you guys need to bring and make sure you guys bring all that stuff by next Thursday. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Be smart, be safe, and I will talk to you soon.